Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Talking Disney podcast. And this is the show where we like to talk about the Disney canon. And we finished reviewing all of the films. And so now we're talking with content creators and talking about their rankings and their experience watching the Disney canon. It's going to be so much fun. We've really enjoyed doing this. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Stanford is here.
Hi there.
Hi, and we have our special guest today. We have Richard Southworth here, and he's been a friend of the channel since it started, basically, and been a friend of mine, fellow blogger. And Richard, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Richard. So excited about this.
Yeah, and we would have just had you on for the Secrets of Dumbledore discussion. If y'all listening, if you want to hear more from Richard, he was on basically all of our Harry Potter discussions that we had. So that was fun.
Yeah.
So why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit to the Talking Disney audience?
Okay. Well, basically, I like doing book and film reviews on both on my blog and also on Goodreads and Letterboxd. And having been since I became a blogger, I've been following Rachel and doing her watching a series on Disney films and after the Talking Disney podcast. And I didn't really like having a particular plan when I started rewatching the Disney films myself. I just I think around after the time that they'd finished, I finished with the Talking Disney run through. I'd just thought I'd have a look at Snow. I'd see what it was like, because I think I watched it as a child and didn't remember it all that well. And then I think a little while after that, I looked at Pinocchio because with having Disney Plus, you just got all the films available. And I just thought after that, how about I just carry on watching these in order and see about making my own ranking and see how it compares.
See, this is really cool. Do you think, Stanford, that we've actually inspired somebody to start their own canon watch?
I know. It makes me so happy.
Yeah. That's what we would have definitely hoped. And what do you think is something that you learned from watching the canon?
Well, it was interesting to have I already knew a bit about the history behind the films and the separate eras and what was happening behind the scenes, and with the wartime era when the studio wasn't doing so well financially, they had to throw together what they had, and things that changed after Walt Disney himself died. But it was interesting to watch the films in order and be able to see that in practice, being able to see the changes in style and in quality, and you can pick out things like the recycled animation when they were trying to use cheaper processes. So basically, it was see it, taking that history and seeing it in practice, and also, I've walked away reflecting on how these films appeal to adults. I mean, I've been watching Disney films as an adult since the revival era, because my main childhood period was the Renaissance, and then I kind of stopped watching during the post-Renaissance era when the films were actually coming out. But and there were various films obviously from before that time that I watched on VHS, and I watched so many times that I knew off basically by heart. But actually being able to revisit those films with fresh eyes, I'll be able to see them as an adult reviewer, and I can't see the details and appreciate them in that light, and understand that people of any age can appreciate these things.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Walt said, that he wasn't making movies for children, and he definitely saw it as an elevated art form, not as just something for kids.
Yeah.
But I think it is an interesting experience watching the canon in chronological order. We didn't do that this time because we just wanted to do something different. But I think you're right in that it can kind of teach you about the history of really the world, kind of, as you watch.
Yeah.
But certainly this brand as it evolves and changes depending on the time.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it was it was a bit difficult at times, like first going through the package films, which I wasn't so keen on, and then particularly in the post Renaissance, where you got like five pretty awful films in a
Yeah.
row. So I had to get through those to get to the revival era and the good stuff again. But I kind of felt that I could appreciate it best if I was watching it in chronological order.
What do you think about that, Sanford, watching when you do watch it in chronological order?
I really appreciate what Richard's saying because, yeah, it really gives you an interesting perspective on the progression of the studio, both artistically and also historically.
Mm-hmm.
But I also really enjoyed how we did it this last time, Rachel, by mixing it up, because I think partly because sometimes I think when I did the chronological watch, I knew when I was hitting that horrible period during the early 2000s, I was just, even though there's only like 4 or 5 films still, I just, dreading. Whereas this, you can kind of spread the torture out.
Yeah, I wanted us to still remain friends at the end of this.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah, I guess if you've already got some idea of the films, then it's okay to watch them in a random order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that was my 3rd time watching the Disney canon.
Yeah.
For
in a blog, and then you did the video series. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I have to update. I'm behind because I don't even think I think I did Ralph Breaks the Internet, but I think it's the last one. So I'm way behind on those videos. But they're a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, were there a lot of films that you hadn't seen?
I hadn't seen any of the package films, aside from vague memories of watching The Three Caballeros when I was very young. I don't really remember much about it. There are like a couple from the post-Renaissance era that I hadn't watched, like Home on the Range, simply because I knew they weren't very good.
Yeah. Are you a fan of Rachel's reviews? Do you look forward to Family Movie Night, Female Film Critics panels, or the Talking Disney podcast? If so, please consider supporting the podcast by becoming a patron. As a patron, you get to access monthly events such as the watch-alongs and Q&As, where you get to talk to stars and find out the behind the scenes of the movie making industry. And you can pick what I review for Family Movie Night or even become a guest on the podcast. Podcasts and YouTube channels are expensive, and I really, really could use your help. I would so appreciate it. You also get to be a member of the Facebook group where we talk about all the films that we're seeing, and we have so much fun. Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies and select one of the Rachel's fan tiers. That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies. Well, we are going to go over each of the eras, not decades, the eras. We're going to talk about some of your favorites and maybe some other ones and least favorites, and it's gonna be fun. So we got this golden era, so it's this Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs through Bambi. What was your favorite and least favorite?
My favorite was Fantasia, which I have at number 6 in my overall ranking. My least favorite was Dumbo, which I have at 31 in my overall ranking, but I did like them all.
Yeah, that's pretty high. I have Fantasia at 5, so we're pretty close. We're pretty much the same on that one. That's my highest of this era, and then my lowest is Bambi at 29. But I still like all of these movies. What about you, Stanford?
Highest is Snow White at number 5, and then I think I have all of these basically in my top 20. All of the these first films. I think my lowest is actually Fantasia at 19. But as we've discussed before, Rachel, kind of my top 20, they're almost like all, even like my top 25, they're kind of like all equal. It was so hard to, classify them. It's so nitpicky, because Fantasia is such a magnificent film. I hate having it so low, but I like these other ones, just incrementally better. But anyway.
Where do you have Bambi?
I have Bambi at 14.
Sorry. I have Bambi at 16.
Yeah, so pretty close. It's a very sweet film. It's just relaxing, I think, to watch Bambi.
Yeah, definitely. It was it was very quite a gentle kind of slice of life film. I really liked I mean, when you watch it, you could tell about how they were emphasizing the art in those
Mm-hmm.
days. Just like painting this picture of the American forest.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a
Yeah.
detail. It's really beautiful to look at, and the music really complements it very well too. It is a lovely experience watching Bambi.
Yeah, and I like the fact that the music is basically the sound effects, not just music. You know, the whole drip, drip, drop, little April showers.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. Whereas
So,
with Dumbo, it wasn't quite the same approach, because like Dumbo was kind of like a film they wanted to get out there a bit more cheaply, wasn't it?
yeah. But I love the watercolor and Baby Mine. Oh, so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I think that was the main reason I have. Well, basically, is a part of the reason like I ranked Dumbo relatively low was because it was just because I found it quite depressing a lot of the time.
That's true.
You know, he
It
goes
is
such a hard
really
time, all
sad.
these other elephants being mean to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's one reason why I always thought it was a shame that it's kind of dismissed as being racist, which I'm not saying it doesn't have those elements in it. But at the core, the whole message of the movie is about acceptance and tolerance,
Exactly, yeah.
which I think is so. I think it's kind of sometimes I feel like it's a little throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
With
Like
Dumbo.
watching it now, you can kind of see how the crows fit kind of racial stereotypes of the time. But I didn't think it was such a big thing that it really bothered me to watch it.
Yeah. Well, what about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? Where do you have that?
I have it as 29.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was watching it, when I was watching it, I was kind of able to like appreciate just think about how it must have been for people watching it at the time, the first full-length animated film.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they put so much effort into the story and the art, and it just must have been a great experience to watch in the theater in 1937. I just kind of felt it. There's some bits that go on a bit too long.
Mm-hmm.
So the pacing isn't quite there for like watching it as a modern viewer. And I have Pinocchio at number 14 because I thought that was much better paced.
Yeah.
So I like that quite a bit more than Snow White.
Yeah, they're both really interesting films. I have Snow White at 10, and you have it at 5, Stanford?
I have it 5, yeah.
No. I have Pinocchio at 25, just because it was just too scary for me as a kid. Which maybe that's a point in its favor to some people because they like scary movies, but just the donkey scene, whew.
Oh, yeah. I actually realized when I was watching it at that when the only boys are going off to Pleasure Island, the coach is being pulled by donkeys, and so presumably all those donkeys where it used to be boys, and now they're taking all these other boys to their doom, and not being able to tell them what's going to happen. You just think of that. I think, wow, that's dark.
It really is, and I have to admit, I'm just so curious to see how the heck they're going to turn that into live action. I kind of think they'll probably just not have the donkey scene. I can't imagine. That would be so horrific in this new
like CGI
movie.
transformation on screen. You could make that really scary, couldn't you?
I mean, I knowing these, I would be shocked. I mean, they'll definitely have it in the Guillermo del Toro stop motion, which will be amazing, I think. But I just can't imagine Disney doing that in the live action. So my guess is that they'll just not even have. I'd be surprised if they have the donkeys at all. But anyway, so then we have the package era. We have Saludos Amigos, Through the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. What's your highest and lowest here?
Well, I think my ranking is the opposite of yours, Rachel, because I have Saludos Amigos at the top, which is 40 overall, and Make My Music at the bottom, 54 overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, my lowest is Saludos Amigos at 56. Just because I don't really think it's a movie. It's so short, and I don't know. It's it's fine, but then I have Make My Music. Well, no, I have Ichabod and Mr. Toad at 30, and Make My Music at 33. Just because I think it's weird. I like weird movies sometimes. Sammer, what about you?
Well, as we've talked about before, Rach, I have Saludos Amigos at 33. I think I'm the only person in the world who likes this movie. and then my bottom one is the Three Caballeros, which I have at 51. Although I have all four. I have Make My Music, Melody Time, Fun and Fancy Free, and the Three Caballeros all, in my bottom. It's like from 48 to 51. Although, I should say I have The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad at 30. That's my favorite package film.
Okay.
Yeah, I have it at 30 as well.
By far.
Yeah.
But I really like Saludos Amigos as we've discussed. So
what do you think?
I just thought it was quite interesting because I just quite like it's almost like the documentary side of it. With Charlie McGreen.
Yes, exactly. Me too.
With the Goodwill tour. And then I quite enjoyed the Pedro sequence as well. Just I think the thing I liked most about that was the narrator and how much he was getting into it.
He's so into it.
Drop the mailbag, Pedro. Save yourself.
I remember
in the mailbag, it's just a postcard, and he goes, "Well, it might have been important."
That's a little plane, right?
The little plane.
Pedro's the little plane.
Yeah. That's cute. Isn't there one about a donkey as well?
There's like a donkey with a Donald Duck in the first.
Donald Duck, who's at Lake Titicaca.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Burro the Burrito or something like that.
I love that. And Goofy, isn't that Goofy? How to Be a Gaucho?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So where do you have Saludos Amigos, Richard?
Yeah, I have it at number 40 overall. So it was my favorite of the package films.
Yeah, I had it higher after my first ranking. I actually had Saludos Amigos higher than Three Caballeros, but I have Three Caballeros at 47, so it's not like I have it super high. But there's cute things about it. I just kind of the manic energy for some reason this go around of Three Caballeros sort of worked for me, but the animation is really good with Panchito and Jose Caballero, but all of the stuff of Donald chasing Skirt gets really old really fast.
That just made me feel uncomfortable. Yeah,
it really did.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He's a duck. What?
Particularly with it being live action women.
Yeah, it was really weird. Where do you have Melody Time?
I have that's my second favorite. That was at 44. Yeah. So I was kind of afraid because I didn't particularly like Make My Music just because it just felt so random and a lot of it felt quite dated as well. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't really engaging me. And when Melody Time started off, I was kind of afraid it was going to be much the same. But I ended up liking that a lot better. Because like some of the sequences were a lot more appealing. I think I remember the tree sequence was quite nice and nice. Again, then you got the proper like story sequences like Johnny Appleseed and Pecos Bill.
I love Johnny Appleseed so much. That's a really underrated piece of Disney animation. I love the song. The Lord is good to me, and so I thank the Lord.
Yeah, that's such a good one.
Mm-hmm. Richard, do you have one in the canon that you think is underrated? Not given enough love?
In the wartime era?
No, just in general.
I've got like the Grace Mouse Detective and Tarzan in my top 10. Mm-hmm. So I'd certainly call both of them underrated.
Yeah, those are good ones, definitely. Yeah. All right, so then we have the Silver Era, and we have Cinderella through the Jungle Book. What is your favorite and least favorite?
My favorite is Sleeping Beauty, which I have at number 5 overall. My least favorite is The Sword in the Stone, which I have at 48 overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what about you, Stanford?
Yeah, I've got Cinderella and the Jungle Book, both like they're in my top 5. Mm-hmm. I think technically the Jungle Book is 2, Cinderella's 3 now. That's my latest ranking. But they're just so close, I adore Sleeping Beauty. I have that at 7. The bottom one for me is Sword in the Stone too. that one I have at 47. That's just I don't care for that film.
No.
Yeah, I have Cinderella at 4. I have 101 Dalmatians at 6 and Sleeping Beauty at 7. So
yeah, I have 101 Dalmatians high too. I think it's in my, let's see, I have it at 8. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I have Cinderella at 17 and the Jungle Book at 18.
All right.
Yeah. Jungle Book I have at 27, which was lower this time around for some reason than in the other times. These rankings are not very scientific.
The thing about the Jungle Book, I loved everything about it except for Mowgli. Mowgli's just a brat.
I just hate that ending. I think it's so annoying. Yeah. Baloo's almost died for him, and he's put all this fight about staying in the jungle, and then he sees the girl singing, and then he gets his eyes get all buggly eyed, and he gets hypnotized, and it's not for me.
All that complaining we have to put up with, and then suddenly the pretty girl changes his mind.
Yeah, sorry friends, sorry for almost dying for me. I'm leaving. I don't know.
Yeah. See ya.
Yeah. But I do agree on The Sword in the Stone. I have it at 51. I don't think it's a very good film. Yeah. It has a couple fun little bops, but I just don't think that the lessons are very helpful in him becoming king. And when he pulls the sword from the stone at the end, it makes no sense.
No, because the lessons ultimately have nothing to do with his destiny, because he just gets it by pulling a sword from a stone.
Mm-hmm.
I felt it was a lot of showing and not like telling and not showing as well, because he's talking about how Arthur has all this potential that needs to be turned in the right direction, but he's really just a drip, and he doesn't really change from the beginning to the end of the film.
Yeah,
well said. Yes,
I agree. Where do you have Alice in Wonderland?
I have that at 30.
Mm-hmm. I have it 26.
I ended up liking that more than I was expecting.
It's fun if you can just go with the nonsense of it all.
Just surrender to the nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have it lower. I have it at 44.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't surrender as much. I tried.
All right. Well, let's talk about the Bronze Era. So we have the Aristocats through Oliver and Company.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your favorite and least favorite of this era?
My favorite is the Great Mouse Detective, which I have at number 4. And my least favorite is the Black Cauldron, which is at 58.
Yeah, it's not great. I agree. My favorite is the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I have it 14. I have the Great Mouse Detective at 15. So they're very close. And then my lowest is also the Black Cauldron at 55. I have the Rescuers at 54. The Aristocats at 52. So it's not the strongest era.
Yeah.
What about you, Stanford?
Well, I think I'm the only person in the world that loves the Rescuers. So I have the Rescuers at number 9. It's a sentimental favorite for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the Black Cauldron is at 60.
Yeah.
I have the Rescuers at 43. So low, but not that low.
Yeah. Rachel and I, it's one of the few films on the canon that we really have polarized. I mean, that we're kind of opposite views.
Yeah. Where do you have Winnie the Pooh?
I have the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh at 46.
Okay, pretty low.
Yeah, I wasn't really that into either of the two Winnie the Pooh films that are part of this, even though I did definitely like Winnie the Pooh as a child. I used to watch this TV series called The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which I really liked. But I just didn't find the feature films all that interesting.
Yeah, what about you, Stanford? Where do you have the Many Adventures?
The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh at 39. Mm-hmm. I like it. I don't love it. And then I have Winnie the Pooh, the 2011 Winnie the Pooh at 43.
Okay. Yeah. What about Great Mouse Detective? Where do you have that?
I have it at 28. That's a film I like a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, terrific film.
Really love that one.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It was hard for me to. I wish I could have put it a little higher. It's such a good film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think maybe it was it kind of introduced me to the concept of Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was a child, I think the first time I went to London, and we went on the tube, and I saw the sign for Baker Street, and I said, "Look, that's where Basil lives."
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it is
it.
definitely a gateway to all things Sherlock Holmes.
And then Robin Hood was like my introduction to that character as well. And I actually have that at number 11. I was quite disappointed it didn't finish in the top 10.
Oh, pretty high, yeah.
Yeah.
I have it at 32.
Yeah.
But it is my... Robin Hood and Jungle Book are my dad's favorites, so we definitely watch them a lot and have a lot of nostalgia for them.
Yeah, Robin Hood was just like, it felt like a comfort film. But it was just so much fun with like both how good Robin himself is as a hero and just how comical the villains are.
And I love Disney's anthropomorphic animals. I love so much.
Maybe not Chicken Little, but
well, I would say with the exception of Chicken Little. Robin Hood and Zootopia are the ones I love.
Yeah. When I was watching Zootopia, I was thinking, could this be what Chicken Little could have been like with effort?
Yes.
Definitely.
I have Robin Hood at 27. It's a movie I like a lot.
So the Renaissance we have coming up next, and it's The Little Mermaid through to Tarzan. And you have a bunch from this era in your top 10.
I got 4 in my top 10, yeah.
Yeah. What are those 4? Well,
I have The Lion King at number 1, Beauty and the Beast at number 2, Aladdin at 3, and Tarzan at 7.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what's your lowest on this era?
Lowest is The Rescuers Down Under at 38.
Mm-hmm.
I like with the golden era. I still think it's a good film. It's just not as good compared to the quality of the rest of the era.
Mm-hmm. And you have Rescuers Down Under ahead of Rescuers, correct?
That's right. Yeah, by 5 spaces. Yeah.
Yeah, same. So I have Rescuers Down Under at 46. Where do you have that one, Stanford?
23. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So your top 3 are from this era. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to deny. I mean, Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin.
So good.
So good.
Yeah, these are basically like the films that I remember most fondly from my childhood, and I enjoy watching so much in my at this time. Yeah, I have The Lion King as my favorite because I just think nothing like no other Disney film affected me as emotionally as The Lion King did. I ended up seeing it twice in cinemas. First, I think it was we had a class trip to go and see it, and then I watched it afterwards with my family. And it stuck in my mind like no other film. Just the emotional power of it.
Yeah, I also have 4 from this era in my top 10. I have Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, The Lion King, and Mulan in my top 10.
Yeah. I have The Little Mermaid at 12, so it's almost there.
Oh, that's good. You want to stay on this show? No, just kidding.
Yeah. I have 2 in my top 10. Beauty and the Beast at number 1, Aladdin at 6.
Yeah.
But, I love them so much. They all come into my I think the majority of them are in my top 25.
Mm-hmm. Where, Richard, do you have Mulan?
I have Mulan at 23.
Okay. What about you, Stanford?
15.
Yeah. I love that film.
I do too. I love it.
I love the songs, and I love the character, and the whole cutting hair sequence is so good.
Oh yeah.
And
the music in that scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good. And I couldn't believe they just got rid of that for the live action.
No, I still haven't actually watched the live action one.
Be grateful. But
I ended up being quite disappointed when I rewatched Pocahontas because I remember I really loved that one when I was younger, and I've only put it at 37, so 1 space above The Rescuers Down Under because it didn't do it for me just as much as it did before.
Yeah, I have it at 50. So
I have it at 36. There's much I like about Pocahontas, and then it's got some huge problems for me. Yeah.
It's just hard to ignore the kind of sanitization of the history.
Yes, exactly.
Even though the music and the songs are still wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think the animation's gorgeous. But the history part is hard.
I didn't even quite like the look of the characters as much. It's kind of they have quite this angular look.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just find her annoying. I don't really like her as a character.
Rachel's commentary on Pocahontas the character is my favorite.
But what about Hercules? That's one we haven't really talked much on this show about. What do you think about Hercules, Richard?
Hercules is all right. I have it at 34.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like when I was...
I do too. I have it at 34 too, Richard.
Yeah. When I was watching it in the cinema, I think I was mainly pointing out all the liberties it takes with Greek mythology.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it combines so many things that it is kind of a mess, but I guess I kind of appreciate that. It's kind of similar to why I make my music, because sometimes I like messes. I like things that are weird and different and strange.
Yeah. You know that the Disney originally wanted the Spice Girls to voice the Muses.
I love the gospel songs the play on gospel songs are so fun, and I guess they are making it into a Broadway musical.
Yeah, they did one. They did kind of like a one-off that they did in the park. I think was it in 2019, like in Central Park in New York, which was like the hottest ticket supposedly.
And I think that they have done the test run in Toronto or someplace like that.
They're opening up at the Playmill or something.
Yeah, something like that. And I mean, I kind of how the heck do you make that? I mean, it's just so all over the place. How do you make it into a Broadway musical?
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, Alan Menken, he's the king. So
is he working on it then?
I have it at 20.
I think he is working on it, Richard, from what I understand from my theater friends that fill me in on this stuff. Yeah.
Well, and I remember him saying at D23 that it was one of the most exciting experiences that he had participated in. They was really, really enjoying it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because it's just so random. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies. Well,
the post-Renaissance, we have Fantasia 2000 through to Princess and the Frog. What's your favorite and least favorite?
Well, this is a kind of a dark era for me.
Yeah.
So I have Fantasia 2000 at number 1. It's 24 overall. And I actually have 5 films from this era in my bottom 10. So right at the bottom is Chicken Little at 60.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was kind of a hard choice between Home on the Range and Chicken Little for the bottom one. But I was kind of making, if I was kind of undecided in positions in the ranking, I'm thinking if I had to choose between these 2 films, which one would I rather watch? And as creatively bankrupt as Home on the Range is, it is a pretty harmless film. Whereas Chicken Little is just quite ugly and mean-spirited.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... I can see that. I have Chicken Little at 58. I have Dinosaur at 59. And I have Home on the Range at 60. Brother Bear 56. Brother Bear, I have really low 57. What about you have Meet the Robinsons pretty low?
Yeah. I just didn't find that very enjoyable to watch, just because there's so much. It's just having so many annoying characters thrown at me. I thought the story wasn't too bad. There were some interesting ideas there, but it was just this. I just found so much of it quite annoying and not a nice experience to watch.
Mm-hmm. Where do you have that one, Stanford?
I have Meet the Robinsons at 45, and I would agree with Richard. I think that was probably the difficult things for me is just so many characters And I feel like that detracts from the emotional core that the film has.
Yeah. It is kind of schizophrenic. I have it at 36. So I write it kind of in the middle. So you're a big dinosaur person. So I was curious what you thought, Richard, about Dinosaur.
Well, even when I was young, I was quite underwhelmed by Dinosaur, because I have it at 53, so slightly higher than either of you, I think. Just because it's not, they don't give it a very interesting story, and the dinosaurs don't even look that good. Like when you have the dinosaurs with these kind of human expressions on their faces, it just looks weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it could have been so much better if they'd gone with the original approach of having it like a documentary with the dinosaurs not talking.
Yeah.
It could have been something quite fresh and unique.
I agree. Well, and they have such beautiful world building with the real life backgrounds and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And then 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes into the movie, it's just like desert, blah, and so it ruined that whole aspect of it. Doesn't really, it's not that pretty of a movie.
It doesn't help.
Beyond that first opening.
Yeah. And then the dialogue isn't very good either, because it just sounds like in The Land Before Time, it sounds properly, it has more like a timeless feel. Whereas in Dinosaur, you got them saying things like, "They call me the professor of love and school's in session."
Yeah. I know you agree, Stanford.
I hate that movie so much. I have it at 59.
Yeah, same with me. 59. Yeah. Fantasia 2000, we haven't really talked about that much on this series. I think it has some really strong moments, and it's almost best to watch it on something like Disney Plus, and you can just fast forward all of the annoying interstitials. But I do think it hurts at the fact that it has the Sorcerer's Apprentice in there, because then you have something immediately to compare all these new ones to, which it's not, they're not as good as that one. So it's like admitting to your audience that it's not as good as the original. I don't know. I think that was a mistake, but I do love Rhapsody in Blue. I think that one is beautiful.
That one was my favorite. Yeah, Rhapsody.
That's my favorite too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the Sorcerer's Apprentice just feels slightly out of place simply because it's already been done, and then the Donald Duck one feels out of place as well. But I did like all the others.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it doesn't quite reach the heights of the original Fantasia, but I still felt it was pretty good overall.
Yeah. And
I'm always quite sorry to interrupt.
No.
After you, Rachel.
I was just going to say, where did you have that one again?
I have that at 24.
24.
Well, I have the Emperor's New Groove at 25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have Fantasia 2000 at 39.
Oh.
So kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
What about, where do you have Atlantis?
Well, I quite like that one. I have it at 33. So in the middle.
Yeah, I have it at 43. I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either. I have it at 40.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wonder if there's like an alternate universe where it was more of a box office success, and so Kida was added to the Disney Princess lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the unofficial Disney princesses, there are certainly a lot worse than her.
Yeah, and it has some fun action, and the world building and the ships and everything are kind of fun, and so it has some things to enjoy, and we would have gotten a cool ride at Disneyland.
I know. Had it been a better movie, and better accepted, it would have had a really cool ride. Bummer.
Yeah. So, all right, let's go on to, we have the revival era, the Princess and the Frog through, we've asked everybody this question on the show. Richard, do you think that we are in a post-revival era, or do you think we're still in the revival?
I think we'd have to go a little bit further into the future to properly judge.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I kind of feel like there's still one era, because I feel there's been like a great deal of consistency with the later Disney films. Like after I got past Winnie the Pooh, I knew that all the films that come after this one I really like. So this has been quite a strong and consistent time for me, and I don't really feel like it can be divided into two different eras just yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have two from this era in your top 10. Why don't you tell us what those are?
Frozen at number 8 and Tangled at number 9.
So what do you like about those two?
Well, I think I watched Frozen before Tangled, and it was kind of Frozen that kind of got me going thinking this is really like a return to the old Disney magic of the Renaissance. You have this really lovely story with these really interesting characters, kind of like explored in this more in this way you expect from more modern films, kind of the character introspection with both Anna and Elsa. And then later when I watched Tangled, I think I still put Tangled like slightly below Frozen, but that's still very strong as well. I really like the characters in that as well. Like Rapunzel and Flynn and Mother Gothel as well as the villain.
Yeah, they're both really good films. I have Frozen at 12, and I have Tangled at where are you, Tangled? I've Tangled at 3. So I have them both really high. Stanford, where do you have Frozen?
I have Frozen at 18. Mm-hmm. I really love Frozen for all the reasons that you mentioned. Such a good film.
Yeah. And then where do you have Tangled?
Tangled I have at 10.
Yeah.
Which I love Tangled.
Mm-hmm. It's so good. It's so good. I was excited, Richard, to see that you have Ralph Breaks the Internet ahead of Wreck-It Ralph, because I feel like that's a take that Stanford and I have that most don't.
Yeah, I really loved Ralph Breaks the Internet, and I think I put Wreck-It Ralph quite high as well. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed them both, but I just found Ralph Breaks the Internet to be a really fun film.
Mm. What's your favorite part about it?
Probably the Disney stuff.
Yeah, the princess.
And the princesses and like all the other like little Easter eggs when Penelope goes into that world.
Yeah. Me too. That's really fun. And I love that we got like surprise Alan Menken song in the middle.
The Slaughter Race one.
That was really fun. Yeah. You have Zootopia pretty high.
Yeah, that's a great one as well.
Mm-hmm. Where do you have Zootopia, Stanford?
16.
I have Zootopia at 23. So pretty high too. I have Moana at 11. So that's pretty high.
I mean, Moana I have at 21, but I think it actually has my favorite overall soundtrack of the revival era of the musicals in that era. Yeah, it has the most songs that I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really hit gold with L.A. Cravalho. She was so good.
The soundtrack to Moana is just excellent.
Yeah, You're Welcome is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so fun. Yeah, I think after Moana came out, there was this video on YouTube of someone like remixed the songs to give it a Star Wars approach. So it was like Luke singing it to Rey at the beginning of The Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I hope The Last Jedi starts out like this. And then when I actually watched Last Jedi, I thought, yeah, that definitely would have been better.
Yeah, I agree.
Totally agree.
So the latest one, Encanto, where did you have that?
I have that at 22. So another good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was a very strong entry. I'm kind of ready for them to do something different, and I hope they do with this new upcoming movie. I'm ready for like a real villain again so much.
Yeah, what's it called again, the new film? Is it?
Yeah. Strange World is the current title of it. We'll see if that's...
Yeah, I knew it was something like that, Strange.
Yeah.
I was thinking Stranger Things, but obviously it's not that. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, I forgot in the post-Renaissance, what do you think about Treasure Planet? Because I know you're a big space person.
Yeah, I thought he had some good ideas. That it didn't feel the execution wasn't the best. Like when they actually get to the planet, it didn't feel quite as good. I thought the relationship between Jim and Silver was good, but I thought it was kind of average overall. I have it at 41. So
that's where I have it too, 41.
So I thought in terms of like the steampunk approach, that Atlantis: The Lost Empire was better.
Oh yeah, I have Treasure Planet at 44.
All right.
So pretty close to you guys. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. This was a lot of fun to get to hear about your ranking.
Yeah, your rankings are so great. Thank you so much, Richard. This has really, really been great.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was really fun to do, and it's really nice to talk to you about it as well.
Yeah. Well, if people want to follow your reviews and your content, how can they follow you online?
Okay. Well, my blog is velociraptor256 at wordpress.com, and I'm on Twitter at RJ_Southworth.
Great. And Stanford, where can people find you?
On Twitter, I'm at Stanford Clark, and I have a movie podcast and blog at moviespastandpresent.com. Follow me on Instagram. My handle is at moviespap, as in past and present.
Right. And you can make sure to follow us at Disney Talking on Twitter. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So please check that out. And also, if you are listening to the podcast on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. 5 stars helps us out a lot. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group, which is a lot of fun, and our merch store, which has #AnimationJunkie shirts. So please take a look at that. And thanks again, Richard. Really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.